Hi guys, welcome to Sarah Says. This is going to be another Walking Dead review. I figured I would do one once a week just to kind of go over things and see what your guys' thoughts are on the show and give you my thoughts and just kind of have a little chat community. I know there's lots of them out there, but it's a nice way for me to connect with you guys. So anyway, season 7, episode 2, we got introduced to Ezekiel, King Ezekiel. And the kingdom opens up with, Carol being wheelbarrowed into the kingdom because she's not quite feeling well, being shot, trying to recover. And we see that we have Morgan again in the episode. I like Morgan. I think, I don't know. I kind of like the transformation that he's made. He went from one extreme to the other. I mean, when we first met Morgan, he was just this crazed, almost lunatic, and he's booby trapping everything and he doesn't trust anyone. He lost his wife and he couldn't kill her when she turned into a walker, and that pretty much destroyed him. And then he kind of became sort of normal, and now he has taken this turn to not killing anything. We learned in this episode, I don't know if they mentioned it before, but we learned in this episode that he's been pretty much a vegetarian since he's changed his philosophy. But now, he went to this don't kill anything, everything has life. And then through his experiences, I think in the last season where, he had to kind of fight Carol basically on whether they were going to kill those guys with the W's, I don't know what you call them, but they had the W's carved on their foreheads, and then he came back to hurt one of their own, and then he had to kill one of Negan's people to save Carol. And so I think now his philosophy is changing again, and he mentioned that to the kid that he was training, that, people change and people grow. And I think that Morgan kind of represents really the morphing of the show, the progressive nature of the show, how we change as human beings. I know some people are like, I can't stand him. How could he not have killed when he needed to kill? And, he represents the humanity that they're trying to maintain, that they're trying not to lose. We live in a society right now where we have all these rules and you can't kill people just because you want to. And, there's law to answer to and punishments to answer to. And now that that's gone in their world, that's kind of what made us human, valuing other human life. And yeah, they do live in a different world where it's kill or be killed. And I totally get that. But I also like where he's coming from, where he still wants to respect life and maintain the little bit of humanity that he has. Carol's a badass. I think she's so funny. I like the way that she adjusts and she adapts to everything. So you've got Carol. She's shot and she's been sleeping for 2 days. She wakes up and Morgan's like, okay, we're going to go meet King Ezekiel. She's like, what the hell are you talking about? I thought it was so funny. So he wheels her in and you've got King Ezekiel, this guy with these gray dreadlocks and this huge tiger. And she's like, yeah, okay, buddy. But she just plays along because, I think Carol knows how to survive. Carol just does what needs to be done to survive, but she is smart. She's thinking all the time in the background. So she's just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to play along with this. Pretend that, yes, all hail King Ezekiel. And then as soon as I can, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. So she meets King Ezekiel and she just says, I'm speechless. I forget what she said. I'm speechless in the most delightful way or something like that. I just thought she chose her words very carefully. She doesn't want to get killed. She doesn't want to get, punished by these people. She doesn't know what they're quite about yet. But she knows that she's not hanging around for Looney Town. And she tells Morgan this. And Morgan's like, please don't leave. I have to protect you. And she said, I'm basically going to leave when you're not even paying attention, which she attempts to do. And King Ezekiel kind of catches her leaving and has this little heart to heart with her. And I really liked it. I thought it was a very human moment. And he just said, look, I did what I had to do to survive. If people want to label me as a king and revere me as a king, yeah, I get some perks out of it, but really it just helps me survive. And really, what else is the show about but how people are surviving in this post-apocalyptic world? Everybody picks their own method on how to do it. Eugene did it by surviving off of the smarts of others because he knew that he didn't have the physical stamina to do it, at least not in the beginning. And then the people that can't figure out how to survive, they die. They don't make it in this world. So anyway, she meets King Ezekiel as she's leaving the kingdom, and he says, I did what I had to do to survive. I was a zoo trainer. I had saved this tiger. The tiger and I were kind of friends, and here comes this guy with these crazy dreadlocks and a tiger, and people were like, whoa, impressed. And she says, why are you trying to help me? And he said, because it makes me feel good. And I thought, if it was me in post-apocalyptic world, I would probably be trying to help people along those lines because it's the right thing to do, but also because it makes me feel good to help others. That's just the kind of person that I am. I always try to help others when they're in need. I don't like to see anyone or anything suffer. So I kind of like this guy. I kind of like the direction this is going in. So far, out of all of the establishments we've come across, Terminus and Alexandria, this one seems at first glance to be the most normal. I like that he's not just this lunatic that thinks he's a king and all hail to him, and it's his kingdom, and it's all by his rules or nothing. I like that he wants to help people, and he compromises with Carol at the end and says, how about you go outside, but you're not outside. So they find this house. I don't know if it's right within the borders. I think it's right outside the borders because she did go through the gate. So it's in a house right next to the town. Next to the kingdom, and so there's a walker in there, and she kills it. She claims it as her own. But I'm interested to see what kind of trouble Carol gets in living on her own, whether she can do it, whether she can survive, because she is outside of the gates, from what I can tell, and she's going to be alone. But you know what? I think that's what Carol needs right now. I think she needs to just take care of Carol for a while. When we first met Carol, she was in an abusive relationship with her husband, and then she lost her daughter, and she kind of adopted the rest of the characters as her family, and now I think she just needs to take a break and have some Carol time so that she can recoup. I wasn't really sure if she was having a mental breakdown in the beginning because she kept having flashbacks and seeing the zombies as really real people getting killed, and you weren't quite sure as she was meeting King Ezekiel whether this was a psychotic break or whether this was a real guy. And then you realize that, yes, this is it. So I kind of like how it's going right now. I also liked that they gave us this reprieve, this break from episode 1. I know some people were complaining that they wanted to know what Rick had to say, what was going on with Daryl, what's going on with Maggie and the crew. But I liked that we launched right into the main plot, what's going on, aside from the whole Negan thing, because I think everyone needed to breathe. You had a lot of people who were saying, that's it, I'm done with the show, I quit, this was the most violent episode, they killed off 2 of our favorite characters. Well, that's kind of the charm of The Walking Dead. None of your favorite characters are safe. We've learned that from season 1, from the beginning. There's memes on Facebook where they show the original cast, and they're all the dead ones are grayed out, and then the live ones, Rick and Carl and Michonne are still in color. But, they're knocking them off one by one. That's why I said in my last review, who knows? Maybe they're going to make Negan the main focal point and they might kill off Rick. I don't know. I don't know if Rick is going to get his revenge. At least not in the way that he would hope. But, the last time Rick said to somebody, I'm coming to get you and I'm going to kill you, he did. So, if he's true to his word, he'll get his revenge on Negan. I thought it was kind of interesting, the pig thing where King Ezekiel is feeding the pigs on the flesh of the dead, filling their bellies with rot, as he said. I think they're hoping that if they feed the pigs the rotten flesh, that they may infect Negan's crew. But I'm not so sure that's going to work. You can ingest snake venom and not die. If it's injected into you, that's when it attacks your nervous system and things like that. But don't go trying this at home, because I don't know if you're allergic to snake venom and your throat's going to close up. People take everything on the internet for face value. They're nuking their phones in the microwaves because somebody put on the internet that you could charge your phone by putting it into the microwave. Do not do that. Not everything on the internet is at face value. You got to do some research, people. So anyway, I've seen on a Discovery Channel program that you can actually swallow snake venom and not be affected by it because it goes into your digestive tract and your digestive juices break it down. The way that snake venom is supposed to work is by an injection, and then it goes into your bloodstream and starts destroying your nervous system and things like that. So my thoughts on this are that maybe if they're eating the flesh of pigs that have digested rotten walker meat, that it might not work, it might not infect them. Because of this thing in my head that I'm thinking about, the whole snake venom thing that I learned. So anyway, let me know what you think. It would be cool if it worked, because then, all Negan's people would turn into walkers and that would be it. That would be the end. But also that's too easy. So I don't think it's going to work. Let me know your thoughts on season 7, episode 2. Was there anything that you found particularly interesting? Did you like the fact that they went into the side story, or would you have rather them gone right into Rick and his crew and their reactions? Not that Carol and Morgan aren't part of their crew, but you know what I'm saying. They were aside from everything that happened in the circle of Lucille death. All right, so let me know what your thoughts are on it, and thanks for joining me for this review of The Walking Dead. Thanks for watching, Sarah Says.